What's up, YouTube? All praises to the Most High Yahweh, and all praises to Yahusha, the one that died for us, the one that gave us the Ruach Okudesh for us to actively use in our daily lives. Now, let's quicken the Holy Spirit. This is gonna be another derailment. uh, you know, Halo Quan Z back at you once again. Give y'all my insight on this DEI situation. These these kind of like and things that look like they're trying to turn into kind of a protest and riots and stuff like that. But I want to give y'all spiritual insight, all right? Remember, this is to the righteous and elect. So, some of the stuff I may say may offend some people. Maybe. I don't know. Hopefully, you guys have an open heart and an open mind to hear me out. Just hear me out. And, oops. Hold on, y'all. My bad. Uh oh. I don't want to. I don't want to waste any of y'all time either. So let me go ahead and get it together. But not only that, I also have other stories that I want to talk about too, as far as what I see with these certain just different criminal activities. Different, like seriously. My bad, y'all. Let me get it together, y'all. All right, so as far as my like insight on the DEI situation, and this is spiritual insight, okay? A lot of this stuff that's happening is spiritual. I don't know if y'all understand what I said earlier about feeding Satan. So that means, all right, a lot of these jobs have been pacifying their employees with certain things, right? So we're gonna start off with that. Remember, if you if if you're feeding an undisciplined spirit and you stop feeding it and it starves, Satan gets to attack that spirit, and this is like the individuals to the individuals that are being attacked. that it's mainly those that have no emotional control, okay? Like no logical sense and no emotional control. No self-discipline. Remember what I said that if you're a cheerful servant, if you're a cheerful servant, don't give begrudgingly. Don't give your time begrudgingly. So a lot of these people, they quitting their jobs because they don't be giving their time begrudgingly. Okay. And not to say that, we're not all guilty of it. I was guilty at one time too, giving my time begrudgingly, but I hurried up and nipped that in the bud. I grew up working, so, I was young. I was at 14 picking, uh, picking weeds out of people's backyards for money. Like, I was out here trying to get it young though. I was 13, 14, actually learning how to earn my keep with as far as making money goes, because I still wasn't even as disciplined as I am now about how I do things. But with the DEI situation, they starving Satan. Just think about it. You got because you got a lot of employees out here that are emotionally delusional, and they don't have a grind, like a grind type of spirit. They like to work in comfort, and so they like to be pacified emotionally most of the time, and they don't really think with their logical mind. And so a lot of times when you run into these people that's quitting their jobs, males or females, whoever get attacked, like who, because Satan attacks the emotionally uncontrolled. So with that DEI situation and these protests and people trying to boycott and all that kind of stuff, that's their, one, they create feeding that kind of a, like feeding a lazy spirit or a sluggard spirit. Like if you feed sloth, sloth is he gets he gets what he gets with no effort or energy. That's a slug or a sloth type of spirit. Okay, and so what happens when they're being fed, but it's a subconscious thing. People don't know it's being done to them when it's being done, and you don't really get to see the results until after the fact. Now, for those of us that don't depend on nothing but the Most High, or don't depend on nothing but our own energy, like, because it transitions from me depending on my own energy to me depending on the Most High. However, he kind of blessed me with a keen insight on the spiritual aspect of how to see this. And so I'm able to pinpoint when Satan's attacking people's emotion. And so, like, because remember, Satan attacks people's emotion. He don't attack, like, he not a straightforward attacker. It's very subtle. Very subtle. Just like we done got so accustomed to all the comforts of life, we feed a demon. When like we feed a demon, like just think about people that play video games that don't have any emotional control, especially children. When like if you notice, like especially if they the type to just sit in the house all day, play the game, be online, and they get derailed because like maybe they system or maybe the network done went down or whatever the case may be. Satan get to attack the emotions of these people. Or like let's say you're in the middle of a game and your woman unplugged the game on you, right? Because you didn't save your game. Satan get to crash, like Satan will crash out because that person did not have any self regulation when they were playing video games. And it's the same with working. Just think about the people that like to go to work but they barely like to work when they go to work. So they give their time begrudgingly, probably on their phone all day, probably like somebody said. I was listening to Big War Genius because he brought up a good point. These people ain't thought nothing about DI until it was taken away. You miss you don't miss it till it's gone. That's funny. However, it's a it's worse than I thought because like a lot of these things pacify spirits. Like a lot of these things kind of pacify demonic spirits until it's too late. You know, so you got to feed the satanic spirit for so long. Like for example, like uh paying people equal pay and for minimal work for some, and for some they work they work their butts off. Now for the ones that work their butts off, they're probably a little more easier to be kept by an employee or my fault, an employer. However, the ones that don't, or the ones that are lazy in spirit or sluggish in spirit, those people they get let go, and when they get let go, they don't know what, like they get smacked upside their head because Satan get to attack their emotions. And I hate to say it, however, those that are less emotionally controlled or don't know how to direct or guide their heart and their mind correctly, those are the ones that Satan get to crash out on. And the ones that know how to accept things as they are and know how to adapt and adjust or have a great coping mechanism, those are the people that'll manage to pull through with certain situations. But also, I like you also gotta be aware of certain people's energy too, because like remember what I said, sin is in proximity. So if if a person that got a big type of energy, however little self control, has a calamity over them, whoever's in the radius of that individual, they get whatever calamity come to the individual depending on how how their energy structured, because you could feed a beast and you wouldn't even know it. Like a lot of people feed beasts and don't even know it. It happens in these relationships a lot too, and it be subtle. It's so subtle you would never think nothing's gonna happen, and then you pull something away or you take something away from that individual, and their coping is not right because they had no emotional discipline or they had no self discipline or just no discipline growing up. These people crash out. Those are people that Satan get to attack emotionally, and that's what I've been discerning lately. Though I've been like, well, why is this such a big deal? Like, cause in my head, I think about stuff like, you know, I know how to cope with certain stuff. Like, and don't get me wrong, like I have a harsh coping mechanism. Like my cope is harsh. So like even when I had to cope with fasting, that's harsh. Like, or if I got to cope with a loss, it's a harsh cope for me because I'm an emotional individual. I'm not just a regular individual. Like my emotions are extreme. Like, and whatever mood that I'm in is extreme. So if I'm calm, I'm extremely calm. If I'm angry, it's extreme. When I'm sad, that's extreme. Like just different mood settings for me as an individual, as I take a personal account on myself, I know how extreme that it can get depending on how I perceive everything. However, I'm also extremely logical. So when I'm in these states of mind or moods, I still have a good cap on how I direct my energy or my passion. it's not just it's a hard pill to swallow. But when you're when you're being born with a a gift of insight, or you know how to read things, it can get kind of tricky, because like sometimes you do kind of trick yourself into not like you trick yourself into depression. Like when I get depressed, I'm extremely depressed. It's not a regular depressed, and that's because of my adjustment to coping with losses because of my extreme emotions. So me understanding that, and then me like having to be forced into like I've been forced into situations where I had to cope. Like I just that's just the nature of my life. Like it's up or down. It's extremely up. I'm either extremely high or I'm extremely low. I've been extremely low for the past few years now. So now I already know I'm on my uprise as far as that goes. But still it's enduring to the end and not blaming the Most High too. Like, you gotta think, blame it. A lot of times people unconsciously blame the Most High for their woes or their sorrows, and it's unconscious. You don't even know you're doing it most of the time. And like, if me waking people up on how to see things or to perceive, when you perceive things in a certain fashion, you don't want to find yourself crashing out, or not make it, or not enduring to the end. Like, because you can endure to the end. However, you have to learn to not blame nobody. That's one. Blame only yourself, and then not only just blame yourself or take accountability, but also while you're doing this introspective, like do a self check emotionally, men and women. I'm saying this for men and women because we all got like we all got some stuff in the closet that we need to clean out. You feel me? Like everybody do. However, some people are more rare than others. And so those that are less aware, or those that don't actually follow the Most High or actually use the fruits of the Spirit, it'll go overlooked. If you're not using discernment, it'll go overlooked. That's why when I see this DEI situation and these protests, you're feeding a rebellious spirit. That's one. And then on top of it, you also feeding a slothful spirit when these companies employ people and they don't discipline them immediately, and their efforts get out of control because of their lack of thereof. And if this is you, if this is you, you don't work for a company, and you find yourself complaining about you know them getting on you about your lack of effort, or not being on time, or just not giving your and then trying to give that woe is me, or oh, I need like, and this is for males and females. Now, women and men, y'all, we do things a lot differently. With men, men kind of they lash out verbally. They'll lash out verbally, or uh, yeah, we lash out verbally or get angry most of the time. Now, women they do that, but they also have this added thing where they like to play the sympathy card. So it's the sympathy card, and they'll use their home situation or home life. Well, I'm not at home enough with my children and things like that. When especially when you decide you wanted to work and when you decided you wanted to do it alone, or you didn't want no husband, or you just feel like it's too much to deal with a man or whatnot. I don't know, whatever the case may be, I see it a lot, so I'm able to call it out. And that's mainly with the women though, or they try to look for a quick bag by like putting somebody on the chopping block for SA harassment and all that kind of stuff. Like you know, you got women out here that set you up for like set businesses up for a lick, depending on how you interact with them. So that's why it's like it's people have like that's why these jobs done got so extreme with their hiring processes because of the simple fact there's so much added on iniquity that goes on in a job that goes unchecked. It's not unnoticed, it's unchecked. People notice it, but they don't check it or nip it in the bud early. And so, after you done fed that demon for so long and you let it get out of control, and then you see this person wilding out at the job or losing their dang on head because they ain't got no sense that God gave them or that the Most High gave them. Uh, that's what happened out here. They get they get that haughty spirit in them, that pride, and then that's another thing too. That prideful spirit. If you don't like, that's why I say like when we get in these jobs, we supposed to have a heart of servitude and generosity. Give your time up generously, not just not just to like be happy to serve. Like because once you get in that mood to be happy to serve, now they trick you out your bag all the jobs kind of trick you out your bag all the time because they don't promote they kind of promote positive, but it's halfway. A lot of these corporations they promote it halfway. So it's subtle, it's unnoticed, and then they're only doing what higher ups tell them to do. So a lot of these, general managers or the lower totem pole managers, they don't understand. They don't look at stuff in a spiritual aspect. They mainly looking at stuff with efficiency, logic, everything with logic, efficiency, which is why we got autonomous out here, autonomous and AI out here about to take over because they don't gotta fool with the emotions of employees because employees are fickle. They're fickle, and it's mainly I ain't gonna say who y'all know who's really fickle as far as employees go. However, we got a lot of males out here that are becoming fickle as well, and got a lot of that spirit in them, that sloth or sluggard spirit. And so, and they want to feel like they being taken advantage of. Allow yourself to be used because you never know where allowing yourself to be used, especially for a company or just the skills. Like remember, the act itself is its own reward. The act itself is its own reward. So when you're working, the act itself is its own reward. It's rewarding in itself. When you do that act proudly, It give you that boost. Do the act proudly. Be proud of doing a good job for wherever you work at or for whatever company you in. It don't depend so much on a handout. Cause that's what a lot of these people is doing is trying to depend on a handout, and they don't understand that you feeding Satan. You're not. It's not a normal handout. Y'all think these handouts is normal. It's not. Government assistance, all that stuff. That's not a normal handout. It comes with a price, and it comes with a price of you being pacified, you being allowed to fail without taking no accountability. Uh, it come at a heavy price, all of it. Like, and I'm paying attention out here. Like, I'm out here. I'm like, you think Neo was woke? You think Neo could see the Matrix? And I don't even consider it a matrix. I just consider it the creation of the Most High Creator, and everything has its process, and it's all meshed together in a harmony. There's a harmony and there's a disharmony that people are overlooking. You're overlooking, like y'all overlooking it, and this is and this is to my righteous and elect. View these people that y'all around. Like, if you in a work setting and if you find yourself, you get yourself in check. But if you find yourself around a person that's filled with calamity, you go the other way. You allow Satan to crash out over that way. Don't allow Satan to crash out in your face, because you don't understand what type of calamity becomes that. And now, if you got a person that's willing to learn as they watch, and I'm gonna get into it later. Like, this ain't gonna be my only video today. I'm gonna actually give y'all a 3-piece today. But I mean, as far as me looking at the spiritual aspect of DEI being taken away, or certain government assistances being taken away, and then also you got these mass deportations. All of these things are to instill rebellion, right? It instills a rebellious spirit. Once that rebellion is fed, Satan get to crash out on these people's emotions, because these people are passionate about whatever it is they're believing in at the time. And sometimes it ain't good. Sometimes it's unrighteous. And they don't realize it's unrighteous, because to them it's righteous. You know what I mean? Like, when people do certain stuff, you gotta kind of have, because I have empathy for them. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, I don't understand their plight, but there's a much more graceful way to go about certain things. And I ain't even just saying protesting, or because protesting leads to what? Civil unrest. And then sometimes civil unrest and protesting leads to rioting and disorderly conduct, unlawful conduct, and then everything just kind of gets out of whack through controlled chaos. But you know, a lot of people, a lot of people are missing it because they miss out on the spiritual aspect of it. And us as a people, right? Us as a people, and you know what I mean. If you're a part of the category, you know what I mean. But us as a people have been led into having a rebellious spirit on purpose. It's not by accident. You have a rebellious spirit on purpose. You know when you see these harsh things happening, or you're so nasty to a because of somebody else's success over your own success, and you know who I'm talking about. But when you have that type of insight or that type of perception on woe is me, you gotta think these people don't owe you nothing. We we're not owed anything, but we owe everything to the Most High for just breathing and existing. And then on top of it, He gave us rules to follow so that we wouldn't even have to feel like we're being taken advantage of. Like, but that's the thing. Remember, the Most High protects a spirit of righteousness, a spirit of elect. And so, like when you find yourself out here, trying to buck against the system or whatever the case may be, that's not by accident. You know, once Satan take you over, then Satan takes the other people over, and then they get to crash out on. Remember, Satan's job is to make you crash out on everybody and yourself, and vice versa for the other person. Satan's job is to make that person crash out on everybody and themselves, whether they know it or not. It's a very subtle act, very subtle, very unseen. But I see it. I see it, and I'm warning y'all. Don't be a part of this mess out here, because it's about to get. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's getting real, but there's a way to go about this, and your Holy Spirit guide you into protection. But remember, you got to communicate with the Most High for that protection. You got to wear the full armor of Yahweh. And, and that's just me speaking on the DEI situation and these government subsidies and all that stuff being taken away from people, or being kind of, managed, and actually, like, because it's still, I can still see the good in it. However, I see the subtleties in it too. And so, like, I see the fine print. And fine print says possibly Marxism, but who knows? Possibly communism, who knows? However, I just, I see this stuff, and I see it all getting out of control. Those that are like me, that have been raised in the hood, or those that are like me that have been raised in that kind of environment, man, keep your eyes open out here. Like, you better serve the Most High with everything you got. Serve the Most High. Learn how to be a servant out here. Stop just trying to be self-serving, because being self-serving, that'll get you perished. And I'm talking about from the presence of the Most High. That'll get you perished being self-serving. Serve the Most High and serve others. Just as long as they don't go against the righteous teaching of the Most High, which is it's pretty straightforward, and it's pretty average thing to follow, which is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you don't want nobody giving you a half-ass job, don't give nobody else no half-ass job. What's wrong with you? Work. If you want somebody to love you all the way, you love them all the way. You don't want no half-ass love out here. You don't want nobody trying to help your ass out halfway. Excuse my language. However, harshness sometimes have to come out. And I'm not trying to, my effort is not to be profane. My effort is to wake you up. Don't be halfway in it out here. Like when you serve with a generous heart, don't be so wicked in your mind, so wicked in your mind frame that you have no sympathy or no empathy for how these employers work. You know, if you was running a company, you don't want nobody halfway running your company, like running it into the ground. It's kind of like how when we get married, right? We allow our women to run the marriages into the ground because we ain't got the balls to or the cojones to stand up to it because we trying to care too much about their emotions and feelings instead of looking at everything with both lenses, your heart and your mind. Okay, yeah, let them know you care. However, you give them some discipline and instruction with nurturing and love. Remember, like it gentle and stern. You can't just be like it, but you use that in your everyday life. It's the same way. And then even with children, you got to be gentle and stern. You can't just be just gentle and you can't just be just stern. You got to be both. And then you have to go through the experience with the child so that they can pick up on their behavior when they get older. So you don't have nobody out here not moving with the Holy Spirit, but be taught in the ways of the Holy Spirit. Teach your children in the ways of the Holy Spirit so they can be protected when they get out into this world. You know, a lot. I wasn't like, cause I'm kind of self-taught as far as the Holy Spirit goes. Like that's not nothing that I like. I was raised with good behavior, but that that's like. But as far as reading the Bible and studying the Word of the Most High, that came from me naturally going to the Word of the Most High, and then I did that young at first, and then I strayed away into other religions, and then found out the Most High is the absolute truth. You feel me? Like the Most High Yahweh is the absolute truth. Absolute. And Yahusha, his behavior, the absolute truth, the absolute protection. That's what I want to, open your eyes to with the GEI. And Big War Genius, I really appreciate seeing your video. And I'm gonna shout you out because you got you got a good insight. You do have a good insight, and I appreciate why I'm rocking with him. I'm rocking with Big War Genius. However, a lot of my topics are a little bit different because I'm giving you a spiritual insight on how these things are being activated. Like with one of these topics that I had in mind that I wanted to talk about, I'll probably talk about that in my next video, but I'll give you a brief summary about uh it was a married couple and I was wondering like how they, how that situation ended up with them perished. Okay. Like and I could kind of see how that like when these people because I know there's another thing too that I'm seeing on these crime channels. They keep trying to big up these people and I get it. You don't want to disrespect the, you don't want to disrespect the perished, okay? So I understand that part. However, if I'm using discernment when I look at these videos, I can tell you that either rather a woman had the rebellious spirit or the man or both had a rebellious spirit towards one another. And I can see that stuff. And that's what I be trying to get people to pay attention to. Like, pay attention to how these people use their spirit or their passions towards one another. Because sometimes, like, it be out of control. It be way out of control. And I'm like, that didn't have to go like that. And but it goes like that when y'all want to get bored with each other or y'all want to try to dabble into other things of iniquity and and you don't want to stay committed. You don't want to stay committed. You don't want to endure to the end. And so y'all want to, and so, one party want to create the end early. One party wants to create the end early because because they didn't want to let that person go, or vice versa, and that's males and females. Like y'all, people got to get it together out here. I see it. I see the iniquity. I see where Satan get to take over. So remember, when the Holy Spirit's removed, Satan get to take over, and it ain't good. Like, and then on top of it, we feed the rebellious spirit. You feed people be feeding that rebellious spirit. Like after it done been pacified for so long, you got a lot of people out here that pacify that spirit. And boy, they don't understand. Don't understand at all. When you pacifying a sluggard, you don't understand. When you pacify somebody that's lazy and don't want to be out here trying to get it for real, you don't understand. Especially if they already employed for that company, you don't understand. You pass when y'all don't discipline, when people aren't nipped in the bud before it gets out of control. And then you decide you want to starve Satan, like you want to pull, you want to pull resources from Satan. Satan get to crash out on your emotions, and most people don't even know what's happening to them when it happens. They just get so mad and get so fumigated, infuriated. Like they'll get mad, and they don't even know that it's Satan attacking their spirit. Most people are unaware that Satan is attacking their spirit when it's happening. And that's because everybody's so reactive, or, the hustle and bustle of life make you way more reactive than responsive. Okay, there's reactive and responsive. But when you reactive like that, like too much, like because when a person's so used to being on the go all the time, and then they just come to an abrupt stop. Just think about like if a plane came to an abrupt stop in the sky, it drops. Same thing with a car. If it comes to an abrupt stop in front of another car, you get a pile up. You get a wreckage pile up. Like anything that comes to an abrupt stop and you don't know how to cope well, or you don't know how to adapt and adjust quickly, it'll go left and spin out of control. Like that's what's happening to people. Like everything's coming to abrupt halt, and it's like just visualize a car driving and on the highway or whatnot, or you might be the sand mine. You in the sand mine and you driving, and then you just stop. The car just stopped, or it just shut down. You don't know what happened, and then everything behind you just start piling up, just because the situation wasn't safe or nobody was paying attention. Like, because you got some of them people though, like myself. I give a car, like I give whatever. I like space on the road, so I'm like, and I'm that person to tell you to go around. So like if I see, like I like to keep a clear view of what's going on in front of me at about 20 feet away from whoever's in front of me, so I can react at times, especially if I got bad brakes. But you know, I mean, these are just insights that I'm giving you that can help save your life if you out here and you just happen to be around this stuff. Sin is in proximity, which I'm gonna speak more about that too. But yeah, sin is in proximity. Like it's a radius and proximity type of thing. So just be careful about the people that the types of calamity that certain people have on their lives, and use discernment to understand if that person's a crash out. You understand, like, discernment, understanding, and even empathize with the crash out. Empathize. Don't just call them a crash out, because they feel let down. When a person's a crash out, it's because of rejection. It's not. It's because of the lack of love that they feel. They don't feel like nobody love them. They feel like they feel like they feel woe is me and don't nobody care about me. So a lot of times these people don't be crashing out on purpose. They don't be raised in a lot of rejection, and so like you gotta empathize with that. I've been raised in a lot of rejection, so I know how I feel. But I've also been raised in a lot, like I was also raised in a lot of acceptance too. So, I have a pretty decent balance on how I was raised. There was acceptance and rejection in my life that created who I am right now. And, my earlier years when I was a babe, like when I was a child, and I still remember those years. So, I know exactly, when I was loved, and I also know when the resentment came. I noticed when the resentment came, but also I was very unaware of my lack of self discipline. Also, like because I was more so just going through life and letting life happen and going with the flow. Like I wasn't I was reserved back then too, but I was also a big reader back then as well. However, I was always in, I was always just picking up on stuff, but I also still had a kind of a rebellious kind of character, so it was in the middle with me. I didn't, and then I didn't realize how bad it was until I started reading the Word of the Most High. Like when I started reading the Word of the Most High, my discernment kicked in just like that. Like it was like, oh wow. And I'm talking about when I read later in life. Like when I read earlier in life, my discernment with the Most High was pretty keen then. However, it wasn't nurtured correctly. It wasn't nurtured correctly, and I was very young. I think I was about 16 when I was, when I was when I introduced reading it to myself, because I started reading a lot of books when I was young. I've read a lot of books, and I still read a lot of books. But you made it to this part of the video. I love you. I do. Take my insight as correction. Some of y'all might not like what I have to say, and that's fine. Yeah, one of my comments, one of the people that gave me a comment earlier talking about he felt like I didn't care or that I was like so about his insight about certain things happening in the word of the Most High that a lot of people aren't aware of, and it's like when we reach that supernatural status of being able to do something about it as far as stretching our hands and allowing the most high to do it, then we worry about it. Until then, you take the truth that we understand. It's right is right, wrong is wrong. The most high don't protect iniquity. We know that. The Holy Spirit, the Holy Spirit is what protects us. We know that. The armor of the Most High, Yahuwah and Yahusha. Those are the things that protect us in our behavior. And then you got to practice those things. But other than that, the stuff that we can't control, we gotta allow a pass on some of this stuff. You can't allow it to get you so out of whack to where you just don't know how to emotionally control yourself. Learn how to emotionally control yourself. Stop being a crash out. Learn how to use logic and passion and use it constructively. Don't use it don't think that somebody's trying to personally attack you every time they speak their mind about something. Like I said about this mass deportation, these people are emotional about it, but I empathize and sympathize with them. However, I'm still in agreement with how things are being managed if these people are in active criminal activity. Like you have to discern right is right and wrong is wrong. Right is right, wrong is wrong. And keep it simple. Learn how to discern correctly. Stop putting your don't put all your emotional eggs in one basket. I'll put it to you like that. Like, because I love all y'all. I'm going to respond to every comment. And, the ones I get to anyway. And to those that actually want to communicate. Like, I love each and every one of y'all. And, if you made it this far, thumbs up the video. Also, share the message. I'm not just sharing this to y'all. Share the message to other people. Share it. You ain't gotta like it, just share the message. And so others can gain this insight. Because the more people that gain insight, the better it is for them to see how to properly handle it. Don't be selfish with the knowledge that I'm giving out. Share the knowledge. Share it. And bring them to my channel so I can explain a lot more thoroughly about things that people might have a question about. You feel me? Bring them to the channel. But it's all love, y'all. Once again, comment, share, or like. And, this is my first video of the day. I'm not doing dates and times and all that stuff. I'm just going to share I'm going to share even if I don't feel like it. I got another video coming that I'll probably, I'm going to have another video probably coming at about 3 o'clock. About 3 o'clock. Hopefully everybody there. You feel me? I'll record the video at 2, put it out at 3. And yeah, I do love y'all. I love each and every one of y'all. I want y'all to know that. And I want you to understand something. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. For that man that said that I just said so, that's not the case. It's all love. However, I can only do something about what I can do something about. And don't allow Satan to get a hold of your emotions and lose your logic. Don't do that. I do love you though. Like don't take it as criticism, but take it as love and correction. And you're also allowed to correct me if you feel like I'm wrong. I will allow it. But I do understand where you're coming from. So if you felt, ignored, I apologize. And I wasn't trying to ignore what you had to say, if that's the case. However, discern me correctly. I'm not attacking you personally. I'm not like that. That's not the goal. The goal is that we esteem our brothers higher than ourselves, and it's all love, y'all. It's all love. You know, take it easy, and I'll be back. You'll see me at 3 o'clock.